Spirit Boss 33. Welcome, fam. Welcome. Episode number 21. Thank you for being here. Lots of gratitude, as always, sent out your way. Really appreciate everyone that's taking their time out to listen to this. Just a lot of gratitude towards that. I know that your time and energy is really precious. So it's just warms my heart. Thank you so much. So, that blue moon that just happened. I hope you're able to catch it, to reflect on it, maybe spend a little time on what was needed to release. Remember not making any kind of concrete decisions right after there's that hangover period, of release after those like really intense full moon. Yes, moving into the next version of ourselves, awakening for this next cycle. It's exciting. Today, actually, I'm thinking August 22nd. So we're going into Virgo season. A fellow Virgo speaking right here. It's some time for some mind, body, belief system care. Got that good, like, organization kind of energy going, that good discipline. I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with Asahi. It's kind of a form, and I'm not going to get this right exactly, I don't think, because I just was introduced to it. But it's not like I probably shouldn't say it's like yoga, because it's not, because it's very like a low key but body movement. Tai Chi's coming to mind, but again, not like either of those. But I was really blessed that a family member invited me to go do this. And so as the full moon was leaving and the sun was rising on the beach, doing this amazing Asahi, routine led by this Vivy lady. And so if you want to know more about that, I think that there are lots of different free or, paid for kind of, yeah. Here's the website. It is ASAHINORDIC, AsahiNordic.com. You might want to check that out. But yes, so after this full moon energy, what powerful beings we are. I hope that you know that you're powerful. Take a moment right now, if you could, just slow your thoughts down, get comfortable, and just take a moment and just like recognize everything that you've created during this earth experience of yours. Just like if you have to like pause the audio and just sit in it. And if your mind goes to something negative, just release that and draw your attention back to like all of the amazing things that you've created. And then think about the potential that you have that you haven't even unlocked yet. Whoa. I hope that you kind of get a little shiver with that. Like there is so much potential in you. We're so powerful that we just walk around casting little spells everywhere we go. Little spellcasters we are. Some are just from like these, like the slightest face expression. So just think about an interaction. You're checking out at a grocery store. The teller in front of you, if you're not using that self-checkout, but the teller in front of you, your face expression is sending energy and information to the person, ringing in your groceries there, or body language, the way that you're holding yourself. And then also just with the words that we speak. So we have all of these different ways, of sending out these really powerful spells to other people. Don Miguel Ruiz from the Four Agreements, I love what he says here. Language is the code for understanding and communication between humans. Every letter, every word in each language is an agreement. That's powerful. The word like agreement, and it's interesting because we're not even like understanding what the agreements are sometimes, is that, let's just use a grocery store as another example, is like maybe we're tired from a long day, or maybe we've had some like really crazy shit go down, and we're just like there getting our, goat milk, or whatever it is, whatever kind of beverage you buy. And, you know, we're not meaning to, but we're giving off this like agreement that the other person's making, that it's about them, so we are kind of forming these agreements all the time with the energy that we're interpreting. And it's not just with human to human. I mean, we're doing this with like our like cats, dogs, like our animals, probably even like wild animals. And then like to get really heady with it, our plants are probably taking in a lot of our information, and vice versa. And we probably haven't tapped into that. But for many of us sensitives, or whatever word, fill in the blank here on what your belief system is, we're picking up on each other's energy. Drawing from Sanaya Roman's description in Personal Power Through Awareness, she says, as you tune in to another person, notice what is on your mind. For the more closely you can monitor yourself, the more you can gather data and information. If you're thinking of someone and you find yourself feeling suddenly worried about your finances, you are picking up the other person's worry if you were not worrying about finances before you thought of that person. So this might seem like a little far out, absurd, nonsensical to some. And remember, if it does to you, we are all living in different rabbit holes, maybe different realms, different timelines. So that's okay. And if you need to step out of this language and into a different way of thinking, if this doesn't resonate, trust your intuition. Because we're the most important research project we will ever embark on. We have this like avatar that needs to be taken care of. Our human needs to be fed, watered, so that we can have like this long, healthy journey. Our minds are like completely brilliant, very brilliant, but also like need to be monitored. We need some checks and balances in place because, not everything in the mind is healthy. Not everything in the mind is true. Not everything in the mind is yours. So it'll get out of balance. And we need to take care of the full mind body belief system. We need our microbiomes in order. There's a lot to take care of this human that's holding our consciousness so we can have this earth experience. And it's not an all like a one size fits all kind of experience either. Like we need to figure out what works for us on an individual level. What works for one person isn't going to maybe work for the other. And that's why, when we hear people speak so certainly of it is this way, is that okay, that's the way that they're perceiving it, and maybe other people, but that might not be the way that you perceive it. And that's okay. It's about you getting in tune with yourself and really becoming aware, present, grounded, and able to notice like the subtle shifts within yourself. So, an example, let's just say breakfast, like you are breaking your fast for breakfast. when we break our fast and we eat a big breakfast with all of these different foods, we can't always tell what's what. So but if we like really slow down, and maybe for some of us, if you feel aligned, maybe we eat one food and give ourselves a little bit of time to be like, is this fueling me? Do I feel aligned with it? Does my body seem to agree with it? And not rush, into our next activity. We start becoming more in tune with what our individual system needs. Because when we're rushing around, on autopilot and just kind of going through the day like so fast, we can't catch what's dipping our energy. We're just not always like in this heightened state of awareness. The same with our thoughts. When we're just kind of in the grind, as we're not sure what came before the worry, or like we may not even recognize the patterns. Like Sanaya wrote, who are we thinking about when that started happening? So, and this isn't about stepping into any type of perfection here. Is that I'm going to be aware every second of I don't, maybe for some that's possible. I have not met that person yet. Like I will definitely let you know if I have met that person. I am on the hunt. I'm in, I'm like very much setting the intention of doing a lot of traveling. I don't know, like maybe there's certain gurus or monks or enlightened people that at every moment are present, that don't slip kind of out of the present moment. Unsure. But for the rest of us, is trying to cultivate that as often as we can, and coming up with some kind of language for yourself as to what this means. Or, I mean, we can definitely work on this with, a doctor, a holistic practitioner, therapist, coach, mentor, friend, whatever you feel aligned with, to help kind of your journey into tapping into your intuition, tapping into your own internal guidance system, discovering what does it feel like when I'm present, what does it feel like when I'm not. Yeah. While you're on that journey, though, I invite you to lean into possibilities that maybe are taboo, or, that I'm going to keep this kind of theme going. I'm not sure how long, but, that might seem nonsensical to others. It's like there is a whole, again, many rabbit holes. There's whole different ways of thinking out there. And while some are heavily researched by certain scholars, which is amazing, those evidence-based practices, if your belief system is tied to something outside of that, like there has to be the ability to honor that for yourself. Because, dear Spirit Bus fam, we have been conditioned to be compliant. Follow the rules, sit in your chair, right in between the lines. The adults know best. Yeah. I mean, from a young age, when we're in school, it's like we're conditioned to sit and be quiet. It's if you're having an emotion, tuck it in. It's time to write your ABCs. It's time to do your spelling. So it's, we need to make sure that we're checking in on that conditioning. It's not that I'm making it a category of it was all bad. Of course not. We learn a lot of very valuable things through the school system, through our families, all of these things. But we need to kind of check in, because we've also been conditioned to like, if I do this quote unquote right thing, it feels good. I feel rewarded by society. But there's a lot of us that like, we're not here for that like feel good. Like we're here to have many adventures that are kind of off the beaten path, while we're evolving into our favorite versions of ourselves. Don Miguel Ruiz invites us to consider we pretend to be what we are not because we're afraid of being rejected. The fear of being rejected becomes the fear of not being good enough. Eventually, we will become someone we are not. We will become a copy of mama's beliefs, daddy's beliefs, society's beliefs, and religious beliefs. So I just, invite you to just spend some time, like just reflect on the ways that maybe you mask or the ways that maybe conditioning that kind of keeps you a copy that you're not aligned with. There are a lot of things that I see, in my parents that I also see in me that I'm like, that's cool as shit. I like that. I dig that. But you know what I mean? But we need to like check in though on certain things we're not aligned with, and make sure that we're doing the work to shift that. Not only for ourselves here, but like this is for generational, trauma. This is for healing our family lines. This works really good, to do, when you're kind of thinking about things. Again, work with somebody, someone that you trust, that you feel comfortable with. So returning back to, I don't know if for all that recall, I'm still using Jewel Kim's self-love deck. But the quote in there is, I am worth knowing. Just sit in that for a moment. I am worth knowing. You are worth knowing. You are worthy of knowing yourself. We are worthy of knowing ourselves at the deepest level that we possibly can. We are in a relationship with ourselves. Like that's the most intense thing that we're going to experience here. At least in my humble opinion, I mean, it's very complex. We're constantly changing, growing, evolving, and getting to know ourselves again. There's things that are coming into our awareness, like negative automatic thoughts that we have to like, wait a minute, is that mine? Wait a minute, what is that? I mean, we just have this very complex relationship with ourselves. And I think that really abundant self-worth originates from knowing ourselves. Like the more authentic, the more connected, the more that we care about ourselves, the more that we deep dive into like all of these like wild gifts of consciousness that we've been given, the more like connected that we feel. And not just to ourselves though, like to others. Fam. If you're still listening, like I just appreciate you like for taking a seat on this bus and listening. Like I hope that you're having an amazing relationship with yourself. And while I'm saying this, if there's some negative shit talking stuff coming in, put it on trial. What's the evidence for that? Who told you that? At what point were you conditioned to think that negative thing about yourself? You weren't born in with these negative thoughts about yourself. And if you do like say, well, this is the person that told me, or this is how I learned this, then, are they someone that you hold up with such reverence that you're going to believe everything that they say? Like, we don't have to believe everything that we think. Like, we need to challenge those thoughts because what we think about expands. Very powerful in that way. All right. I'm going to do a reading here. We got a 3-card spread from the Osho deck, 1 card from Conversations with Soul. So first card from the Osho deck, the Outsider. Like you feel different. I mean, if you're listening to this, I'm going to guess like you feel a little out of sorts here. I don't think that you would be really speaking this language if you didn't. And probably still wouldn't be here until the end of this, still listening to this if you're, and so watching other people, kind of as if you're the outsider, when really you're probably fucking cool. You probably have so many gifts, some that you've already tapped into and some that you haven't. And the second card is ripeness, talks a lot about like your gifts are ripe. They're ready to be shared with the world. You don't have to wait until they're perfectly formed, in your opinion, because that may never happen. And there may be some of you that you're not trying to share, with large amounts of people. I hope you can't hear my cat scratching on the door nonstop right now. Hopefully that's not getting picked up in the audio. Um, but whatever your gifts are, I don't know, who's listening in particular, but maybe, just kind of tapping into my own intuition is maybe you're wanting to share like your thoughts with the world, or maybe through song, or maybe you're wanting to really connect with a certain group of people, but you feel like the outsider and you feel like, there's something in you that doesn't just quite fit. And this is really telling you is like, step out of your comfort zone, man. Like, put yourself out there, expose yourself to some distress to build up some tolerance. Like, you're pretty fucking fantastic. And then the last card, celebration. Like, you've already accomplished so much, and to sit and think about that and celebrate it, to give yourself some encouragement. And you have a lot more that you're going to create. You're powerful. You're creating every day with the words that come out of your mouth, with the actions, every single thing that you do. Every day that you get up and you take care of yourself, you are creating abundance for your future self. The last card from the Conversations with Soul is lead the new generation. I don't know if we've got, if we have some like, in the making elders here, or some elders listening to this, like, you are leading. There are upcoming generations that they may not seem like they are listening right now, but they're listening, or they will listen. You're planting seeds. You might not see them grow. Or think about this way. All the work that you do on you, even if you didn't say a word about it, it's going to ripple out. It's going to show. Those of us that maybe are focusing, let's say, on our physical selves, trying to get healthy, you don't have to say a word about it. It's going to show, from the movement you do. It's going to show through your energy levels, through your mood improving. It's important, if we speak this language, if we're on the healing journey, we're going to be modeling for those that, are watching. It's quite the honor. And I never really like took that in until recently. I wasn't even thinking about that, obviously, through different chapters. In my life, I wasn't thinking about even listening to any elders advice. They didn't know anything, like, I was grown, but then you get to this point where you're like, whoa, like, they didn't know. They knew a lot, like, maybe you don't resonate with everything that they say, but you're like, dang, they did have some wisdom. Or I remember being told this, but I had to learn it the hard way, or whatever it is. And then now realizing, like, oh gosh, like, I have some wisdom. I have some gifts, like, and we want those to continue to grow and continue to become more and more abundant in all areas, because we have, and I'll, share what one of my mentors told me is, we're always kind of choosing a different, which path are we going to go down? If we continue to go down the unhealthy, unhealed path, you know where that goes. Continue to go down the healthy path. Like, we on a new journey, fam. It feels amazing. we start feeling so much better. And again, if you're having a negative thought, but not for me, put that shit on trial. Who told you that? Well, it has been wonderful. I really appreciate, again, you taking some time to have this little road trip with me. I will see you at some point next week, I think. Not quite sure. Hoping that I'll be able to fit an episode in before I'm traveling to the wonderful state of Kansas. And yes, we'll see how this goes, if there is an episode or not. Take care, fam.